Hello and welcome everyone to this evening meditation. I'm going to be meditating on section 3 of chapter 2 of the text of A Course in Miracles. Just read it to you in a nice meditative, calming way. So give yourself the gift of the next half an hour's time out of your evening. Set you up for a really peaceful, flowing evening ahead, and also do a little bit of mind training at the end using the workbook lesson. So this is your Course in Miracles practice session. You get the text and the workbook in one session. So just going somewhere where you're not going to be disturbed. The next half an hour, putting your phone on mute or silent or switch it off entirely. Just sitting comfortably in your favorite meditation posture. So that might be sitting with your feet shoulder width apart. Cup your hands in your lap, keep your back straight. Close your eyes. You can also sit cross-legged on the floor. You could sit up in bed. Just keep your back straight and make sure you're comfortable. There's only two real requirements for a good meditation posture. Closing your eyes, and just start off by taking a nice deep breath in through the nose. So you're breathing in, you notice how the stomach rises, the chest rises. Subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Squeeze the sphincter muscle. It's the muscle at the base of the spine which you use to contract the flow of urine, stop it, squeeze the last drops out. Locks the pelvic floor. It's called a root lock in yoga. Locks the energy in. So you might feel a little warm tingling sensation rising up your spine as you do that. And simultaneously draw it up the spine with the breath. Imagine pulling it up into the heart center. Put one hand on your heart. And draw it up into the upper back. All the way up into the crown of your head. Just pause at the top of the inhale. Smile. And check in and scan your mind. So noticing any thoughts or emotions going on there, particularly anything that's negative, that's distracting, disturbing, contracted, constricting, limiting in any way. Just kind of breathe into that feeling wherever it is. Often it can show up kind of a clenched jaw, tightness in your neck and shoulders, maybe a little tightness in your chest, a knot in your stomach. At the extreme, nausea, panic attacks, cold sweats. So just notice even the very subtle signs, whatever that thought and emotion is. And if you notice that it's not pleasant, then the only logical thing to do is to let it go. Is what you're going to do with the help of your breath now. So as you exhale, you just blow it all out with your breath, just letting it all go. Dark grey or black smoke just leaving you. Lower stomach sharply into the spine to expel the last remaining air out. You just rest here for a few moments in the peace and the stillness. Really notice the peace that arises in the gaps between your breaths, the gaps between my words, because this peace is the entire point. To experience peace, love, happiness, joy, whatever you want to call these emotions, is the entire point of doing any spiritual practice. So the idea of this meditation is to let the words and the breathing just point you in, just guide you into this deeper state of connection with Source, with the ineffable, unnameable oneness that we call God or love, truth, the ground of being, true reality. It's been called many things. Doesn't matter what you call it. There's some ineffable presence in your mind that you know is there. It keeps calling you back. It keeps calling you to turn your mind to it. So let's listen to that call for the next half an hour or so. Just breathing in again. Nice deep inhale, breath in through the nose, notice how the stomach rises, chest rises, the subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. You squeeze the sphincter muscle, notice the life energy rising up the spine. This warm wave of energy is cresting in the crown of your head. Pause at the top of the inhale, smile. Notice maybe there's a little bit more space, a little bit more awareness. So you want to really notice this open, expansive, spacious awareness. That's how you start to train your mind that this is its natural state. This is what you want to be aware of. You don't want only thoughts and emotions that normally clutter up your mind, cause you endless grief. And find a place of empty, open, spacious awareness. If you notice anything blocking that awareness, just notice it. Smile. There's no power to obscure the eternal sun, which is the source of your mind, or the sky, which is your awareness of that source. So just blow it all away with the wind of your breath. Imagine that those dark thoughts and emotions are leaving you like black clouds, just being blown away by the wind of your breath. To the nothingness they really are. Pull the stomach into the spine. Rest here for a few moments at the bottom of the exhale, in the peace and the stillness. Smile. And then repeat the cycle, just breathing in, notice the stomach rising, chest rising, subtle flow of air into the nostrils, the clenching of the sphincter muscle, the rising up of the life or kundalini energy from the base of your spine, all the way up to the crown of your head. Feel a warm tingling sensation. Pause at the top of the inhale, smile, connect with that peace in the gap between breaths, in the gap between my words. When you exhale, just sigh it all out, letting the air flow out of your nostrils, chest and stomach. Suck back in. And the energy just subsides back down to the front channel of your body. Coming to rest in your lower stomach and groin. Pause at the bottom of the exhale, smile. Connect with the peace and the stillness that are always there. Just starting to notice them a bit more when you do a meditation like this. And then you breathe in again and repeat the cycle. Just noticing all the subtle sensations of your breath, the pause, the peace, the stillness, the exhale, energy rising, energy subsiding. Bringing your mind completely into the present moment just by watching your breath. And keep doing that as I read you these words from section 3 of chapter 2, called The Altar of God. And just listen in a way that's really energetic. You're not listening intellectually, you're listening emotionally. Just listen with your heart, listen with your mind. It's not so much about intellectual understanding as about just feeling the energy, feeling the emotion, and what these words point to. If you can connect with that, the peace, the joy, the light, then the lesson is doing its work. Imagine your mind is like a very still, calm lake on a windless day, and you're just allowing these ideas just to drop in to that lake, like pebbles being thrown in, plop. Because your mind, the lake of your mind is so still, the ripple effects can be very noticeable. You feel the reverberation of these ideas in the very depths of your being, depths of your mind, into your subconscious mind, which is where the real change in mind needs to happen. So this is penetrating to that level and undoing some deep-seated false beliefs in your mind. So just allow that process to happen. You just need to stay nice and clear, calm, empty, open, but aware. So you keep watching your breath. Just watch your breath to help you do that, and allow these words just to permeate in. And keep your heart open, keep one hand on your heart center. That helps you so that you feel. This is about feeling into the meditation, not just thinking about the ideas. Dropping your attention into the heart center will help you do that. So putting one hand on your heart, and you can imagine you just breathing in and out, beautiful golden or white light into your heart center. So let's hear what Jesus has to say about the altar of God. So the word God can always be replaced with the word love. It's an eternal loving presence that Jesus is referring to. It's not a false concept of some external father figure. It's the very life essence, presence that is the absolute essence of you and everything. So Jesus says the atonement, the at-one-ment, as I prefer saying it, can only be accepted within you by releasing the inner light. So as you breathe in, just imagine that that's happening. You're breathing in light. If you notice any darkness, any thoughts that are blocking that feeling of light-heartedness, light perception, then just blow it all out with the breath. Sigh it all out. Airflow out of your nostrils, chest and stomach suck back in. Imagine that this darkness is just leaving you. Just keep doing that as I read these profound words. Keep imagining the light coming in and the light extending, releasing this inner light, becoming aware of it yourself, extending it outwards. So Jesus continues, since the separation, defenses have been used almost entirely to defend against the at-one-ment and thus maintain the separation. This is generally seen as a need to protect the body. The many body fantasies in which minds engage arise from the distorted belief that the body can be used as a means for attaining, quote, at-one-ment. Perceiving the body as a temple is only the first step in correcting this distortion, because it alters only part of it. It does recognize that at-one-ment in physical terms is impossible. The next step, however, is to realize that A temple is not a structure at all. True holiness lies at the inner altar, around which the structure is built. The emphasis on beautiful structures is a sign of a fear of at-one-ment and an unwillingness to reach the altar itself. The real beauty of the temple cannot be seen with the physical eye. Spiritual sight, on the other hand, cannot see the structure at all, because it is perfect vision. It can, however, see the altar with perfect clarity. Just pause, reflect on that. You don't have to understand it all intellectually. Just feel what the words point to, pointing you within to the inner altar, beyond physical form. That's why we build massive structures, great temples and cathedrals. It's really an unwillingness, a sign of unwillingness to reach the altar itself, which is within. There's no structure, there's no form to that altar. You cannot see it with the physical eye. And Jesus also talks about the need to protect the body. And we're seeing that played out around the world. Everyone's terrified of getting so-called coronavirus, COVID-19. And so we're told to wash our hands and put masks on and do social distancing and all kinds of things to protect the body. And this is what Jesus calls a body fantasy. Your mind's engaged, arises from the distorted belief the body can be used as a means for attaining at-one-ment. You'll never find at-one-ment through the body. Because the body, by definition, is a separate body. You have a body, someone else has a body. So how can your bodies unite? The closest we can get to that is physical closeness, sex, but it never really achieves it because you're still in a separate body after hugging or kissing or having sex. So for perfect effectiveness, Jesus continues, the at-one-ment belongs at the center of the inner altar, where it undoes the separation and restores the wholeness of the mind. Before the separation, the mind was invulnerable to fear, because fear did not exist. Both the separation and the fear are miscreations that must be undone for the restoration of the temple and for the opening of the altar to receive the at-one-ment. This heals the separation by placing within you the one effective defense against all separation thoughts and making you perfectly invulnerable. So just pause, reflect on that, watch your breath. Nice, deep, slow breaths in and out through your nose. Very profound. So at-one-ment, the decision to return your mind to a state of oneness is the protection against all thoughts of separation. It's the one effective defense against all these separation thoughts. So thoughts of sickness, scarcity, lack, loss, suffering, death. It's been quite prevalent in the last year around the world. Jesus is giving you the answer of at-one-ment, which will make you perfectly invulnerable in your mind. What happens to the body is really of little concern. The body isn't you. But when the mind is healed, then the body must be healed as well, and it will be healthy. Sickness cannot happen to the body of a person whose mind is healed. An acceptance of the at-one-ment by everyone is only a matter of time. This may appear to contradict free will because of the inevitability of the final decision, but this is not so. You can temporize, and you're capable of enormous procrastination, but you cannot depart entirely from your Creator, who set the limits on your ability to miscreate. So just pause and reflect on that. Maybe have a little smile at yourself. How often have you temporized? Have you procrastinated? Have you not done what you felt called to do? Have you denied the call to a higher awareness, to go deeper into your spirituality? Unfortunately, cannot depart entirely from your Creator or your Source, because the Source set the limits on your ability to miscreate. So you can miscreate to a point, but those illusions will never be real, and at some point you will be called, you will choose, or hear an inner call and you'll choose to return. That's the inevitability of the final decision Jesus is talking about. We're all on our way back to God, whether we like it or not. An imprisoned will engenders a situation which, in the extreme, becomes altogether intolerable. Tolerance for pain may be high, but it is not without limit. Eventually, everyone begins to recognize, however dimly, that there must be a better way. As this recognition becomes more firmly established, it becomes a turning point. This ultimately reawakens spiritual vision, simultaneously weakening the investment in physical sight. The alternating investment in the two levels of perception is usually experienced as conflict, which can become very acute. But the outcome is as certain as God, as this eternal loving presence, which is the creative source of everything. Let's pause, reflect on that. Connecting your breath, breathing nice, deep, slow breaths in and out through your nose. This is about saying enough is enough. Had enough of suffering. Jesus says tolerance for pain may be high, but eventually everyone comes to recognize that there must be a better way. That is in fact how the entire Course in Miracles came about. Two people turned to each other in a moment and said, there must be a better way than this. And on their way to a disciplinary hearing at their College of Physicians and Surgeons in New York City, a difficult academic environment where there's a lot of conflict and infighting, and the head of the college, a guy called Bill Thetford, said, I'm tired of this. There must be a better way. And he turned to his colleague, Helen Schuckman. And she said, yeah, I agree with you and I'll help you find it. And that was the invitation to the voice of the Holy Spirit or Jesus to come into Helen Schuckman's mind and correct it. And give her this amazing teaching of Course in Miracles, which I'm reading you right now. So there's a product of exactly this recognition by two people that there must be a better way. Maybe you experience acute conflict as you practicing these lessons and reading the text. Just know that it's normal. It can become very acute because these two ways of seeing, physical sight and spiritual sight, contradict each other. And eventually the outcome is as certain as God or love. You will eventually give up your investment in physical sight and overlook all errors. Jesus says spiritual vision literally cannot see error. It merely looks for at-one-ment. All solutions the physical eye seeks dissolve. Spiritual vision looks within and recognizes immediately that the altar has been defiled and needs to be repaired and protected. Perfectly aware of the right defense, it passes over all others, looking past error to truth. Because of the strength of its vision, brings the mind into its service. This reestablishes the power of the mind and makes it increasingly unable to tolerate delay, realizing that it only has unnecessary pain. As a result, the mind becomes increasingly sensitive to what it would once have regarded as very minor intrusions of discomfort. So just pause and keep watching your breath. Some very important points there. Spiritual vision overlooks error. Simply dismiss it rather than focusing on it. Realizes that the altar has been defiled. There's these false ideas, beliefs about yourself seem to defile the altar. And then it lets them go. Passes over all others, looks past the error, false beliefs, anything that seems to justify those beliefs. And it looks to the at-one-ment, looks to perfect oneness, which is the altar within, to repair the damage, to protect the truth. And when you do this, you're increasingly unable to tolerate delay, because you realize that it only adds unnecessary suffering. So as a result, the mind becomes increasingly sensitive to what it would have once regarded as very minor intrusions of discomfort. So you might find as you go along this path that suddenly things really start to get to you, they start to irritate you, push your buttons. And as Jesus is saying, that's normal, because you become more sensitive to what is not true, to these intrusions of discomfort, which is a good thing. So the only way you're ever going to correct your mind is if you become aware of them and you're willing to let them go, or overlook them, however you want to say that. And return your mind to peace. So let's finish off by the paragraph. Keep watching your breath as you do this. Stay nice and still, calm, empty, open, but aware. So the children of God are entitled to the perfect comfort that comes from perfect trust. Children of this eternal loving presence, and extensions of this eternal loving presence would be another way of saying the same thing. Jesus is just using terminology to point us to words that are already beyond terms, they're beyond words and duality. So don't get hung up on the words. And until they achieve this, they waste themselves and their true creative powers on useless attempts to make themselves more comfortable by inappropriate means. Talking about our attempts to make ourselves comfortable in this world, always trying to improve our lot, to invent new things to help us make life more comfortable, and yet still there's pain and suffering and sickness and death. So this is all a waste of time, because the real means are already provided and do not involve any effort at all on their part. Atonement is the only gift that is worthy of being offered at the altar of God, the altar of this loving presence called God, because of the value of the altar itself. It was created perfect and is entirely worthy of receiving perfection. God, or love, and his or its creations are completely dependent on each other. He or it depends on them because he or it created them perfect. It gave them his peace. Love extended its peace, so it could not be shaken, it could not be deceived. Whenever you're afraid, you are deceived, and your mind cannot serve the Holy Spirit. It starves you by denying you your daily bread. God, love, is lonely without his sons. Love is lonely without its extensions. They are lonely without him, without this loving presence. They must learn to look upon the world as a means of healing the separation. Yet one-ment is a guarantee that they will ultimately succeed. Which brings us to the end of the section. Hope you enjoyed that. So just give yourself a couple of minutes just to sink in to this place of one-ment. Place where there is no other thought. It's just perfect oneness in your mind. The next minute of silence, just allow that one-ment to arise in you. Just go deeper and deeper with each breath as you watch your breath into the peace and the stillness that are the characteristics of oneness. Allow yourself to fully experience it. There's nowhere else to go, there's nothing else to do, there's nothing else to think about. For the next 2 minutes of silence, just breathe, relax, and be still, surrender into this beautiful oneness in your own mind. Next 2 minutes. So very gently on the count of 3, and bring your awareness back into your body, noticing your sense perceptions, noticing the world, but staying connected to this deeper place, this altar within you. It's quite a nice analogy. The altar of God, the altar of love, the altar of truth, it's all the same. It's an inner feeling that you're okay, you're peaceful, you're happy, you're at peace with yourself. It's the only way to find any kind of inner peace. Stay connected to that even while you come back gently, breathing in. 1, just noticing the stomach rise, the chest rise, subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Pause at the top of the inhale, smile. Feel the life energy rising up your spine, this warm tingling sensation cresting in the crown of your head like a wave in the ocean. Pause at the top of the inhale. Big smile. So use these little physical sensations, the smile, the breath, the hand on your heart, just to anchor you into this deeper presence. The altar of God is the section refers to it. So you're going to stay connected to this altar, this loving presence, for the rest of the evening and on into your week. So it is said, so it is done. You exhale, just sigh it all out. Air flows out of your nostrils, the chest and the stomach. Gently suck back in. The energy subsides back down the front channel of your body, from the crown of your head, flowing all the way down into the lower stomach and your groin. Rest there, peace and stillness, just connect with that for a few moments. Just noticing the peace and the gaps between breaths. And then 2, just noticing the weight of your body while your tension's down there, pressing down into the chair, whatever you're sitting. Notice the feet touching the ground, or wherever they're touching. Notice what your body's feeling, what you're touching, breathing in. Notice maybe there's a subtle smell in your nose, a taste in your mouth. Tuning into these subtle sensations to bring your mind back into present moment awareness. It's the way you stay connected to the altar. The altar is only in the present. There is only present moment there. There is really no time. It's just awareness of an eternal presence. It's beyond time. So notice any sounds in the surrounding environment, subtle sounds like the whirring of your computer fan, sitting in a computer, ticking of a clock nearby, some crickets outside, that's all what I can hear. Focus on whatever you're hearing. Notice how the sounds just kind of arise from this very still presence. And start noticing that more than the sounds. Underlying all sound is eternal still presence. It's the ground of being, base reality from which everything arises. The sounds arise, they subside. They come and they go, they shift and they change. It's like everything in this world. So training your mind to stay rooted in this awareness of the truth, an eternal, unchanging truth. It will sustain you no matter what happens. The at-one-ment makes you invulnerable to the winds of change that blow through this world. All the things that happen on this level of form. You can't let them all go. Find the absolute peace and certainty of God, this eternal loving presence, which is in your own mind and everyone else's. So 3, just gently open your eyes, looking around for a minute or so just to finish off a bit of mind training and practice today's workbook lesson. 3. If you look around, just say, I do not understand anything I see. Let your eyes just rest randomly on whatever they happen to see. You might focus on an object for a second or two, and then move on to something else. Repeat the statement, I do not understand anything I see. I do not understand this kettle. If you're looking at a kettle, I do not understand this door. You can do that for, say, half a dozen specific objects. Just noticing how you feel when you do this. You should be feeling pretty calm already. So this just helps you feel calm, detached. But undoing your mind's attachment to these things, multiple things that make up the world we think we see, and entering into a state of oneness, which is beyond separation. Separation does not exist in perfect oneness. Two states contradict each other. So this is about staying rooted in at one-ment. I hope this meditation has helped you to connect with that. I hope it will help you stay there for the rest of the evening and on into the rest of your week, and set you up for a very peaceful evening and sleep ahead. Namaste, which means the peace that passes all understanding in me acknowledges and honors that same peace that passes all human understanding.